Shalom Uvracha. In this week's parasha, Moshe Rabbeinu deals with a tremendous threat to the success and the survival of the Jewish people, potentially a split in which two tribes will leave the rest of the Am Yisrael. Moshe has to be really careful about how he handles this and how he deals with it, and he's tremendously successful. You see, the descendants of Reuven and Gad say they would rather stay on the eastern bank of the Jordan River rather than cross over with everybody else and come into the land of Israel, because it's a wonderful place for their cattle, for their business. And Moshe Rabbeinu is very concerned about this, and he speaks to them and says, you can't do this, you'll weaken the hearts of the people, you'll undercut the whole enterprise of going into the promised land. And Reuven and Gad try and assure him that it'll be okay, and they say that we'll build places for our cattle, we'll build cities for our wives and children, and we'll come and help you. Moshe likes this because he likes that they're going to come and help. But Moshe makes one little important switch. He says, okay, build cities for your children and your wives, and then build a place for your cattle. And the people agree. Reuven and Gad agree, and all of a sudden the problem is averted. It all works out. And if you paid careful attention, you noticed that Moshe pulled a switch on them. Moshe said to them, don't put your cattle protected first and then your children and your wives. Rather, first take care of your wives and your children, your family first, and then take care of your cattle. If you do that, I'll let you do what you want, and this will work out okay. And they agree, and it does. We see later in the book of Yoshua that it actually works out when this happens. And what Moshe Rabbeinu teaches us here is an incredible lesson. The lesson is, what do you prioritize? What do you put first? And Moshe showed them that if they would put their family first, if they would put their children first, if they would put their wives first, and then the cattle, then they could succeed because their priorities would be in the right place. And if the cattle came first, and then, we'll take care of the family, to that, Moshe Rabbeinu said, that's not going to work. We can't agree to that. We can't accept that. A very important lesson for us to learn. And the truth is, when you think about it, there's a very famous line that was stated by Golda Meir, who was Prime Minister of Israel. She said, when will there be peace in Israel, between Israel and its neighbors? She said, when they prioritize saving their children over killing ours. The concept of priority tells us all we need to know about who we are. And we should be constantly asking ourselves, what are our priorities? What's important to us? How do we show it? What do we put first? Have a Shabbat Shalom.